This is the first week of the next several months where there'll be a football game on every single week through the Super Bowl. And, of course, there's no one better to talk about football with than the one and only Emory Hunt joins us right now on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter to talk more about the NFL and football. Emory, good to see you. How you doing today?
I'm doing fine, man. I appreciate you having me on.
I appreciate you jumping on. And you know what? I got to have you on because you have been breaking down on your YouTube channel, Football Game Plan, every team in the league. I encourage everyone to go check out your previews. And one of the things you talked about is about Jalen Hurts. And this young man, to me, just oozes leadership. You and I have talked about this, and I think it says something that it almost doesn't matter at this point what he can do on the field. It's almost like an extra thing. The fact that you have a man like this coming in here at his age with this maturity, going out there and already drawing the team to himself.
Yeah, it's exactly what you want in a franchise quarterback, and I'm just excited to see him get out there after a full-fledged offseason with him as a guy going into the regular season with the offense catered to what he does really well, a healthy offensive line and, some more weapons out there on the perimeter and a healthier backfield. I'm excited about this Eagles offense. I think they're going to be just fine heading into the season.
Any concern about Devonta Smith missing some time here?
Things happen, man. We saw him play with the receiving core he did last year. Greg Ward, Fulgham, Rager came back healthy and played well for them when he was in the lineup. So, we've seen him play without Devonta Smith before, so I'm not too worried about that. Obviously, he adds a different element to it. You want him out there. He's number one pick. He's a tremendous receiver, deep threat type guy. But they do get two tight ends. Right now, they still have Ertz and Goddard out there. So I think they'll be fine if Smith isn't able to go right away. But I'm not worried about him being, hurt right now, in terms of, 4 days into training camp. He'll be fine for the start of the regular season.
Nick Sirianni came out and had a lot of good things to say about Jalen Hurts, specifically in the red zone. And I know someone who watches film, talk to the audience about what is so significant about a quarterback who is being efficient in the red zone.
That's the difference between someone that can win you games or lose you games. And think about someone like Josh Allen when he came out of Wyoming. One of the biggest concerns with Josh Allen was his accuracy and consistency within the 20 to 20. But once you got inside the 20, he locked in and didn't turn the ball over. And you see that play out now in the NFL. I think he only has maybe one turnover, and that was last year, I believe. Inside the red zone, that's remarkable. And anytime you're able to do that, play well inside the red zone, you're going to come away with points, whether it's 3 or 7. And for someone like Hurts, just like Josh Allen, you're a +1 in the run game. So you have that element, and you have the element of, the play action pass and him finding somebody and creating if the play isn't there initially. So there's a lot of positives about Jalen Hurts when you're talking about inside the red zone.
What is one thing that you are looking for? Like, if you could isolate an aspect of Hurts' game that you've seen that you're looking forward to seeing play out this year in the NFL?
More of the deep ball. I think we saw that instantly when he got in the game against Green Bay. I want to say the first pass was a deep shot down the field to Jalen Rager. That was something that hadn't been involved in the passing game on a consistent basis. We saw it against the Cowboys off play action to Deshaun Jackson. I think we'll see more of the deep ball this year because of Hurts and how consistently he's able to connect in that aspect of the game.
Emory Hunt joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN at FBall Game Plan on Twitter. Also, Football Game Plan on YouTube for tons of football coverage, not just NFL, but college football and more going on over there on youtube.com/football game plan. Emory, looking at the Eagles offense, you said you were excited about what this offense can do. What is it beyond Hurts that excites you? What is it about this offense? Is it Sirianni coming in here? What he's changing? What is it in your mind?
The run game. The offensive line is healthier, and when you have a quarterback like Jalen Hurts, you automatically have a better run game. And then when you combine that with what they have in the backfield, Miles Sanders, Huntley has proven to be a really good find. They have Gainwell. They also brought back Jordan Howard. So their run game, I think, will be top 10 in the NFL based off the fact that they have a mobile quarterback back there and good depth in the backfield. So I think the Eagles can really lean on opponents up front with their run game, operate off play action, take those timely deep shots down the field. And their defense is already solid So now you have the added benefit of being rested in solid defense. The Eagles will surprise some people. I think a lot of people nationally are not giving the Eagles enough credit for how they are built, how they are constructed, and how you can still win games in the NFL, despite everyone think you have to throw it 40 to 50 times a game. You can still beat teams with execution. You can still beat teams with strong point of attack play. You can also still beat teams with solid run game and defense. And I think that's how the Eagles are built. I think that's what they'll see once the season kicks off.
You mentioned how this team is built. Also on the defensive side of the ball, we saw them add Kerrigan. They added linebacker Wilson, Harris in the secondary, Steve Nelson, as he likes to be called, at cornerback. What is your take on the Eagles' defensive additions to this roster?
Well, the secondary to me is still the piece where you want to see more growth. Adding Steve Nelson is a good step in the right direction. Now you slide guys to more natural roles. Maddox can go back inside. You have Slay, who should have a bounce back year in 2021. You have Steve Nelson on the opposite side. So now your cornerback play is solid. You can slowly bring guys along like Jaquette. You could bring him along, who played well when he got the opportunity as an undrafted rookie free agent. Your safety play, getting back McLeod healthy, should definitely help out the back end. I'm a big fan of Kayvon Wallace and what he brings to the table, so I'm excited to see how he can grow in year two. So the secondary is still a work in progress. I think the front seven is further along than what we're going to see on the back end, but I'm excited about the potential of what could be with the secondary.
Yeah, we're hearing out of camp that Josh Sweat looks like the star of the defense right now, coming in camp right now. So that should be interesting to watch this year. Look at the NFC overall, Emory. I know you cover the whole league, so I got to get you some of your thoughts on the rest of the NFC East. The Giants, to me, are a huge mystery because you lose Tomlinson on the D-line. The offensive line has been questionable. What do we make of this Giants team? Because they spent a lot of money and a lot of assets on the skill positions, but the trenches, to me, are a question mark.
And that's why I disagree. I think they're strong in the trenches because you do have someone like Leonard Williams up front who had a breakout year last year. Now, you don't expect him to get 11 and a half sacks this season, but you still have Dexter Lawrence. You bring back those linebackers on the outside, Zimenez and Carter, they get back healthy. You add Azeez Ojulari. Your point of attack play should be strong. The secondary is excellent. I think they have the best secondary in the NFC East. And offensively up front, I think they solved their offensive line issues with those 3 draft picks last year in Matt Parrott, Andrew Thomas, and also Shane Lemieux. And so we saw the offensive line play really well. Nick Gates, in his first season as a starting center, played above expectations, and they're solid. I think on paper, the Giants are at least an 8 or 9 win team. So to me, everything just falls on the shoulders of Daniel Jones and him taking the next step. If he can, this team can win 10 or 11 games. If he doesn't, they're more under that 8 or 9 number.
You mentioned the Giants secondary. I know it's Bradbury, Jackson, and Logan Ryan, I believe, are going to be the starters at corner. So what is it about those guys that makes you say this is this great secondary in the NFC East, at least compared to the other teams?
Well, they're versatile. They can match up across the board. Jabril Peppers is back there. He's a move piece. You get Xavier McKinney healthy for a full season. He's another move piece. You have Julian Love out there, another guy that can play corner or safety. And so when you look at the fact that they drafted Aaron Robinson out of UCF, who has length and athleticism, this is a secondary that can beat you in a multitude of ways. It can match up against any type of personnel you throw at them. And when you have that level of versatility and skill, it makes it very tough to complete passes against them.
Emory Hunt joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN at F-Ball Game Plan on Twitter, also Football Game Plan on YouTube for tons of football analysis and coverage. Let's bounce over to the Cowboys. You might disagree with me on this as well, Emory, but I feel like the Cowboys, I know their offense, and I think if Dak's healthy, that's arguably a top 5, at worst, top 10 offense in the NFL. The defense, I don't know. Dan Quinn, it's interesting. We know Hard Knocks has a history of making teams end up worse than they really are in the regular season, So what do you think of the Cowboys at this point?
You have to take that wait and see approach because on paper, yes, they've made some improvements. They have a lot of names and you're excited about the potential, but we have to see it play out on the field because they were atrocious last year on defense. And if they can just get to top 15, you don't have to be the best defense. They just have to be top 15 to go along with what should be, like you said, a top 5 or a top 10 offense. Then this team is clearly going deep into the playoffs. So I want to see how all of these new pieces and the new defensive coordinator, Dan Quinn, all comes together and get this thing right, because they were terrible last year. They just have to be average defensively in order to really make some noise.
What are your thoughts on the Cowboys' offensive line? Because that offensive line was probably the best line for years up front, and it's had some changes over the years, and they've had some injuries to some of their key guys.
But when you have injuries, you also have an opportunity to build depth. And we saw that last year with Terrence Steele having to start. So now you have an experienced backup in his second season. You get back Tyron Smith healthy. You get back La'el Collins healthy. You have Connor Williams up front. You get back Zach Martin healthy. And, at center, Tyler Beatis should be even better in his second year. So I think their offensive line is really good. And I look at it as a positive last year that they had those injuries up front, because it was a great way for them to get the depth going and find out if certain guys that they brought in can play. And if so, when you get guys back healthy, now you have guys that have been in the fire, they have that experience, and now you have really strong depth, which we know in the 17-game season will be critical.
Let's head over to the defending division champs, Washington. Their front seven is elite. I mean, they're a bunch of monsters up there. But my question to you is, did they solve the quarterback question? Because I feel like you got all this talent on offense. You added Curtis Samuel, Antonio Gibson's special as anybody could be. Terry McLaurin, he's a freak. But did they fix the quarterback problem to make that offense go?
I don't think so, and I think that's going to be their Achilles heel this season. Their defensive line is good. There's some question marks at linebacker outside of the edge guys, and secondary, I thought they got better there. Offensive line, still some moving pieces up front, so you want to see how it all is able to gel together. Quarterback is the biggest question mark about Washington. Is Ryan Fitzpatrick. You don't know which good games you're going to get and when you're going to get them. So to me, that's the biggest question mark heading into the season.
Was it a mistake that Washington did not add a quarterback in the draft to develop? Because you look at this team, it's Fitzpatrick and Hennig and hope for the best at this point.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They were in striking distance to get a Justin Fields to make a move and go get him. But again, we'll see. That's going to be the biggest problem with Washington this year, because now you have a streaky quarterback, a guy that's a virtual unknown backing him up. And now we have to see both of those guys deal with real pressure. And I just think that, to me, just keeps Washington fourth in the division, to be completely honest.
Emory Hunt joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM, at FBall Game Plan on Twitter, also Football Game Plan on YouTube for even deeper NFL college football analysis. A couple of National League questions I want to ask you about the full league, Emory. Is the Saints quarterback situation the most intriguing to you? Because it is to me, because I look at Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill, two completely different quarterback backgrounds competing for that quarterback job.
Not at all. It's very simple. You have a starting quarterback in Jameis Winston and a wide receiver in Taysom Hill. That's basically it. I think that's what it's going to be. And that's why you sign a Taysom Hill for the contract they did, not because you expect him to be a quarterback. No, you expect him to be Taysom Hill. Sometimes you'll line him up as a wildcat guy. Sometimes you line him up as an H-back. Sometimes he'll tote the rock as a tailback. He'll catch passes as a receiver. He'll run down on special teams. That's what you're getting in Taysom Hill. Jameis Winston is a starting quarterback. He's going to do really well this year in this offense. And the biggest thing for them this season, this preseason, is to groom their rookie quarterback Ian Book to be, that QB2/QB3, because they're going to put Hill at QB2 for the sake of game day purposes. But there's no competition between Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill. You're talking about a former Heisman Trophy winner, a first-round pick, someone that's, 26, 27 years old, juxtaposed to someone that wasn't that good of a thrower or passer in college, is like 30, and is very erratic, throwing the football when given the opportunity. It's Jameis Winston, and then it's wide receiver Taysom Hill.
All right, well, since you cut me down like a cheetah chasing down a gazelle in the field, I'll ask you about other quarterback situation and see what you think. What is your perspective on the Denver situation? Because Teddy Bridgewater, Drew Lock, to me at least, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, and I know you're not worried about my feelings, which I appreciate, Teddy Bridgewater, I think is basically a Band-Aid at this point. I feel like he's a stopgap until Denver finds who they really want.
Well, it's interesting. I think they're in a win-win situation because Bridgewater is someone that can help you win games, that can kind of keep the ship afloat while you do what you want to do on the front office side. But I think whether it's him winning or if Locke beats out Bridgewater, that's even better because you drafted Locke, you're nurturing Locke, you want him to be the guy, especially at that second round price. So it's a win-win for Denver. And I think if Bridgewater wins the job, I wouldn't look at it as a knock on Drew Lock. I still like Drew Lock, and I hope we get out of this, this era that we're in, where guys have to be immediately good in order for them to be a future quarterback for the team. And sometimes it takes longer for guys to get it. And I think with Lock, even if he loses his job to a veteran like Bridgewater, which is very possible, don't give up on Lock. Allow him to still be a part of your future and give him time to be the guy. And I just think that right now we've gone too far on one side of the coin of, if a guy isn't great instantly, he can't play. So I'm excited to see how it plays out. I truly believe it's a win-win for Denver.
Emory, NFC West, who should be the favorite and why?
I think Arizona should be the favorite because of what they've added defensively. And you hope Chandler Jones stays, and I think that will make them a better defense. Offensively, it's too much talent to not be a good offense. And when you combine those two, I think that makes them probably the more consistent team out there. Seattle will be second because you have Russell Wilson. You have a very good defense that played better toward the back end of the season. You're getting guys back healthy. Up front, Darrell Taylor is coming in, and he's going to be a good pass rusher for them. They got Carlos Dunlap late last season, and he proved to be a tremendous get. I worry about their secondary, but overall, they have just as good of an offense, if not maybe a better offense than Arizona. So those two teams, to me, are what I would look at as the front runners, but I would give the slight nod to Arizona.
And one last thing before I let you go, what is your take on the situation in Indianapolis? Carson Wentz out 5 to 12 weeks. That's a ridiculous window, right? I mean, you have no full idea when he's coming back, and it's Jacob Eason, it's Brett Hundley, and it's Sam Ehlinger for the Colts.
Well, this is why you get paid to be a head coach. You drafted Jacob Eason last year. He spent the full year in your program for this situation. If a guy goes down, you have someone that knows your system, that has been in your system, and has worked with these players to go in and play. And I think that's the approach they're going to take, and that's the approach they should take, because you said 5 to 12 weeks, that's a ridiculous range. So it could be week 1 he's back, or it could be week 9. But at the end of the day, he's going to be back before, week 10. And at the end of the day, you have a guy in Jacob Eason that you drafted that's stylistically or physically similar to Carson Wentz, strong arm, can make plays if he scrambles around. Not the runner that Wentz is, but definitely can move enough. And so to me, it's going to be all about what they can do with Jonathan Taylor, that offensive line, the run game. I don't think they need to go out and get someone. They have what they need in place to hold the fort down until it's time for Wentz to come back. And plus, this is why it's a good benefit, because he got hurt when he did very early in training camp. So now you have the rest of training camp to work with Eason. You have all the preseason to get him some reps, some live game reps. And now you have even more confidence going into the regular season. So I would sit pat and ride with Eason instead of going out and get someone that you're going to have to restart that whole process with.
He's the voice of reason. Emory Hunt joining us here on Game Night at FBall Game Plan on Twitter. Check out Football Game Plan on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Check out all the NFL football, college football, all the great coverage over there. Emory, give the folks a little preview of what you guys got coming up this month.
Oh, we got all kind of stuff coming up down the pike. So like you said, go and subscribe at youtube.com/football game plan. Follow on Twitter at FBall Game Plan. You can check out all our 32 NFL team previews to get you ready for the upcoming season, and we'll have more NFL and college football stuff, as always, following suit.
And also, I know you guys still do the fantasy football segment each week, correct?
Yeah, that's something that's always going to be thrown in the mix. It may not be as consistent, but it's enough to get you where you need to be in terms of your fantasy championships.
Well, I'm tuned in, folks. You should be too. Football Game Plan on YouTube. I always appreciate you, Emory, joining the show. Enjoy football. It is back officially this week. You got football for, I believe it's the next 7 months straight. So enjoy yourself, my friend.
Appreciate you for having me on.